everyone, Amethyst here. For those who are returning, welcome back to another video on my channel. And for those who are new here, welcome. In the last video where I talked about the Winx Club reboot trailer, I mentioned that I originally wanted to make a video talking and ranting about the situation with EA and Nintendo and my feelings surrounding the situations regarding those. And yeah, um this is the video where I'm going to be talking about that. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about and rant about the situations within these communities because I've just been noticing a lot of people just accepting the fact that just accepting and just allowing these companies to exploit and take advantage uh, of them, and I just wanted to speak out against it and voice my opinions on it because I've just been frustrated with the state of things within these communities. So I'll just be talking about that. Just a side note, I am kind of sick. So if I sound like I have low energy or if I sound like a bit out of breath, that's why I've just been a bit under the weather. So yeah, I'll just talk about the Sims 4, EA, and Nintendo. Just, am going to mention a few people within this video, so obligatory, please don't attack, harass, or witch hunt anybody that I mentioned. Please be nice. Anyway, on to the video. Now, I'm going to be talking about EA first because I've been noticing the problems within the Sims 4 community for practically a while now, even before I noticed the problems within Nintendo. So I'll be talking about that first. Now, considering the behavior of a pretty loud section of the Sims 4 community where people will just harass people for having different opinions, I am going to say that I'm not just somebody who's just watching from the outside. I'm somebody who kind of grew up on these games, or at least some of these games. And I'm speaking from a place of love for the franchise, and I'm critiquing it and I'm voicing my frustration with it because I want to see the games get better. So, regarding my history with The Sims, now I didn't start off playing the first game, the second game, or the third game, or even the fourth game. I started off with, surprisingly, the spin-offs for The Sims. So I first got introduced to The Sims when I was practically between the ages of 7 and 11. I'm not particularly sure because I was in Georgia. Well, I used to live in Georgia when I came across the Sims franchise, and it wasn't until I was around 12, 13 where I moved into like New York, and by that time I already knew of the Sims, my Sims, the Sims free play. Like I already knew about those, so it had to be from when I lived in Georgia, and I lived from Georgia from when I was like around 7 up till that point. So when I used to live in Georgia, I would sometimes go and visit my cousin and my auntie. And my cousin, she had a DS, and one of the games that she had was My Sims Agent. Um, and I don't know if I discovered My Sims Agents first or if I discovered The Sims Free Play. It was around that time frame where I discovered both of those games, because I discovered The Sims Free Play when I noticed my cousin like playing it on her tablet, and I got into the game and I ended up downloading it on my phone or my tablet. I can't remember what I had at the time. It was a long time ago. But yeah, I started playing The Sims Free Play, and then I got into The Sims. It wasn't until later that I realized that these games were part of the same like company and a part of the same like franchise. Um, but eventually I started seeing playthroughs on YouTube, of people playing My Sims and then My Sims Agents, but this wasn't until after I moved to New York. So it was a long time before I discovered the other My Sims games and stuff like that. So I grew up like playing some of these games, watching other people play some of these games, um, and I just like pretty much grew up on just watching other people and then playing whatever games I had access to. And it wasn't until um I had access to a laptop where I can like get the PC version of The Sims, where I started of My Sims, where I started like playing it like the other games myself. Though at the time I kind of sailed the seven seas and got the PC version because I was a broke miner who just wanted to play the game and didn't have any money. But eventually I managed to get My Sims the Wii version because my stepbrother and my stepmother they were moving out of their apartment and they were going to sell and she was going to sell his Wii, and I was like, no, give it to me, I want it. And so she gave it to me, and I got the Wii version of My Sims. But I bought that copy before she gave me the Wii, so and from like GameStop. So this was before she like gave it to me because I already bought it, so I can take it with me and like play it while I was at their house. I ended up losing that disc though, and I had to go on Amazon to repurchase it. And that copy is still up there on my shelf. I still have it. I didn't lose it. The disc is still in my Wii, so if I turn on my Wii, it's just there. So yeah, that's essentially just my history with like my early history with like some of the other games. Like this was before I decided to mess around with The Sims 4. Now, when I finally got around to wanting to play The Sims 4, at the time that I wanted to purchase it, it was $5, and I was with my sister at the time, and so I purchased it. I played it. We were on a voice call, and I quickly realized how boring just the base game was and how little there was. Even my sister commented on it, like how little there was in the game. And when I was looking to see if there was any packs I could purchase, I was just astonished by how expensive all the packs were. And I think at the time they were on sale, so even if they weren't on sale, I'd still be paying a lot of money. And I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not spending so much money on all these packs. And at the time, I was already kind of caught wind of how greedy EA was through comments from the My Sims community when I was like looking online for like I was like searching for something online and I kind of stumbled across a comment that mentioned how greedy EA was. So pretty much when I realized this, I was like, no, I'm sailing the seven seas. I'm not buying all of these packs just to get a full experience for the game. And so that's what I did. And over time, I decided I've just gotten bored, even with my interesting copy of the game, because even if I'm not giving EA any money, it still doesn't change the fact that the state of The Sims 4 is just a broken mess. Um, and so eventually I just stopped playing it because what was the point? What was the point of having a game where it's not being cared for in the way that it deserved? And so I kind of just stopped playing The Sims for a while. I still played My Sims through my Wii, but I never messed with The Sims 4. I still watch videos of it, but I just ended up playing the game less and less. And then there was the announcement for the My Sims Cozy Bundle. And like with a lot of people, they were pretty excited at the fact that the My Sims was being revived and it was getting ported on the Switch. And with the Switch being portable, I wanted to take you know, my Sims with me everywhere. I wanted to play it even when I was like traveling um and stuff like that. And so when it came out, I bought it. Like not exactly when it came out. It was a few months afterwards because, you know, even to this day I'm still poor. So yeah, I bought it and I was so excited to play it. And I played through the introduction as usual, but once I got to the parts where I'd had to like decorate the houses and like build the houses and then build the furniture, I quickly became annoyed because of the controls. Like I understand that trying to port the Wii stick movement over the console, like the feeling, the difference is going to be a bit jarring. Like there's a reason why I don't like playing Minecraft with controllers because I'm so used to the mouse. Having to like emulate that mouse or that fluid movement onto like a joystick, it's going to be a bit jarring. But you know, like they could have at least made it so that we could change the controls, or at least develop a system where it's easier to move the blocks where we want to put it. Like they could have made it into like a grid system where we like select the block and move it on its X, Y, and Z axis, and it's moved on the grid. And it can change how big the grid is. Like they could have made a system where it's easier to move and craft and build the stuff, but they decided to just leave it like that. Like the core part of the game, where the whole point of My Sims is to build up your town and to like revive the town and build and customize all this furniture. Like the core part of the game, and they couldn't even get that right. And knowing EA and knowing The Sims 4, I knew better. I knew better, and I thought, ooh, they're just gonna port it. You know, they can't fuck up the game. They're just porting it, and of course they fuck up the game. Now I don't know what the experience like is in My Sims Kingdom because I didn't play the Wii version and I didn't touch the Cozy Bundle version, so I don't know if there's any differences that are throwing other players off. But I don't want to have to rely on the touchscreen in order to build my buildings and build my furniture, especially if I wanted to dock my Switch and play it on the TV. Like, it's just going to be like a very difficult experience indeed. And because of that, I just ended up not touching the game since then. Because, and I just ended up going back to the Wii version because it was easier to control on the Wii version. And it's kind of sad. And like I said, I knew better, and I promised myself I wouldn't give EA any more of my money, and I gave EA more of my money when 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 the My Sims Cozy bundle came out. And it was like they were just like trying to use nostalgia as a weapon to try and lure us in to get people to buy. And this is something that another person said in regards to Nintendo, and I will mention this person later when I'm talking about Nintendo and my frustrations with that. But yeah, just seeing um all the like, you know, just having the Sims, like EA and the Sims 4, like the leadership at the Sims 4, just like use nostalgia to get us to spend more money. It kind of feels a bit disgusting, especially considering that they could have improved the port. They could have done better with the port. I don't know about the My Sims Kingdom, but I know for My Sims they could have done better with the port. Like the graphics look fine. It's just the controls. Like the core part of the game they couldn't get right. And it's just annoying. So that was just my experience playing with the games and like my situation playing them at this point of time. Going back to like the criticisms within the Sims 4 community, because like when I was like when I was like on YouTube watching Sims content, I came across a video by Optimus where he critiques like the issues and speaks like brings up the issues that are going on regarding EA and The Sims, and I agreed with his points on the matter. It came out 7 years ago, and so it's been a pretty long time. But it's like even now, like the issues regarding like how expensive the packs are and stuff like that, it's still a big problem. Back then, he said that back then when the video came out, like having all the packs cost like well over like $500. It's well over $500 now. And he posts that video, right? And then a Sims creator by the name of Deligracy ends up responding to that video. And going through the comments, like everybody was pretty much in agreement that this Deligracy did not understand the points that Optimus was making, and a lot of her fans were pretty much in agreement, saying that it's biased. This doesn't seem truthful and stuff like that. I'll put some of the comments that I was able to get on stream, but even not scrolling so far, like you can see, like people were disappointed in Deligracy's take. And of the comments that I see, on just from scrolling down a little bit, there were two comments that she hearted. Now, one of them was in agreement of her take of her criticisms of the video, of the response that she did. And of course, the only comment that I've seen so far that are agreeing with her, she hearts and responds to. So it just pretty much shows that she's not willing to listen to other people's opinions. And it really rubbed me the wrong way, because I think this was like the earliest where I'd seen like people from The Sims 4 just going after people who are critiquing The Sims. And Optimus ends up responding to this. Again, the consensus was that even people who watched Deligracy was pretty much in agreement to the points that he made. So, and this is like a problem that I've been seeing within the community, in the Sims 4 community, for a while now, where people would just where people from the Sims 4 community would go after others who are critiquing the game. And not all Sims 4 like partners or influencers are as biased as Deligracy, because like people who are like, I'm gonna call them Sims 4 partners because I don't know what the correct term for them are, but like Deligracy, like these Sims 4 partners, they're getting these packs for free. They don't have to work to get these packs, to buy these packs, while the rest of us are busting our asses, probably having to work so many hours just to afford possibly maybe one or two packs. And this trend of like these Sims 4 partners, like they're not having to like pay for the game, they're just getting these games for free, and they're just hyping up EA. They're not critiquing EA. They're not like demanding that EA as well as the Sims 4 teams, like, you know, make the game better. Not all of them, like I said, like are, you know, like promoting this toxic positivity, but those who are speaking critical of the game, they get harassed by others for having a different opinion. And you can imagine my surprise, because with Little Simsy, right, she would critique the game, and I remember there was like a situation where the Sims 4 team, like it was something related to a pack, and she was stressed out. There were things going on in her life, but the way that the Sims 4 team like kind of went about her like promoting a pack or whatever, it seemed like they were just trying to take advantage of her. And I can't remember that situation. If anybody remembers that situation, and could like refresh me on what happened, please let me know, because it's been a long time. But you know, she would say like, you don't have to buy all the packs, this and third. She would mention like the problems within the packs, but I haven't watched her in a hot minute. But lately, you know, there was like, what I found out recently that she was going to be the face of one of the new packs that EA was going to put out. I was shocked. I was honestly shocked and disappointed because, she was supposed to be on our side. She was supposed to advocate for us. She was supposed to, critique the state of the game, and she ends up joining the dark side. She ends up involving herself in a new pack, and it kind of just seems a bit two-faced. It kind of just makes me question her honesty, her like credibility, because like she's critiquing some of these things, but yet she goes around and does stuff that enables this greedy behavior from EA and from the Sims 4 team. And I think one of the comments that I was saying, that I saw, like one of the comments that I saw, this was underneath not Malcolm's video that I'm going to mention in a sec, where a comment was mentioning that like Will Sims is just like kind of censoring herself by saying like she critiques it, but she's saying, "Oh, I'm not trying to like be negative" or something like that. And it's kind of just sad that just to protect herself and to just make sure that she doesn't get harassed, she has to like censor herself and stuff like that. And it's just really disheartening. Like in not Malcolm's video, in their video, like they mentioned, they end up mentioning like some of the problems within the EA and like the toxic behaviors. And I didn't realize how toxic the Sims 4 community was until this video, because they end up mentioning like other creators, like not just Sims 4 partners, but like other Sims 4 influencers that critique the game, like they getting harassed by the Sims 4 community, especially by other big Sims other big Sims creators in the community. And it's just disheartening because even them, Malcolm, they got harassed by the Sims 4 sympathizers. They called nasty names and nasty things. They said awful shit to them. And it's just disgusting seeing how that this behavior is just normalized in this community. Like, I can't understand how some of y'all think that it's just okay to say the most vile shit to somebody simply because they have a different opinion than you. Like, people who are criticizing The Sims 4, they're not doing it because they just want to hate on The Sims 4. They're doing it because they want to point out these issues and demand a better game. Like, The Sims 4, it's not in a good place right now. You can't tell me that The Sims 4 is worth the amount of money with all the packs and with all the kits. Like, going back to like the toxicity within this community, there is one situation in the CC space where some certain CC creators were caught putting trackers into their files to track who was getting their CC from their Patreon or who was getting their CC from other sites. And it's kind of disgusting because, yeah, I understand that you want to get paid for your work, but you're using the Sims 4 software. You're using stuff that's owned by EA to create your CC. So you need to follow their rules. To have like a big and popular CC creator just put such malicious scripts into their files like that, like knowing that they have your information that they could use to dox you, it's just really disgusting, and it's really shitty behavior. Like, the trust in these people must have fucking went down the drain. I don't know if EA or if the Sims team went after those people or if anything was done, because I didn't hear any updates ever since that incident. But yeah, it's just another instance of just this toxic behavior within the community. And another example of this toxic behavior, there was like an update to the game for The Sims 4, and it broke a lot of CC. And one of the creators, CC creators, who, like the creator of 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀, they were getting harassed simply because they were updating the CC, they weren't updating the mod fast enough. And I'm like, that's just like, some of y'all are just disgusting. Like, a few other creators talked about it in the community with the harassment, and I'm like, y'all are nasty. You know, like they're not. I'm and I think the creator of like the CC. I don't know if they have like a Patreon, but if they don't have a Patreon, they're probably not getting paid for this, and y'all are demanding that they have the update just up and ready. Y'all just have no respect. Y'all have no empathy. Y'all have no patience. Y'all are disgusting. The fact that you just want to have like explicit content into the game like that, yeah, y'all are nasty. If that were me in this situation, I was like, like you can't just come up here and demand like that. No, no more wicked whims. Y'all ruined it for everybody. Like, I, I'm like surprised because I don't think the creator even mentioned the harassment they were getting. So honestly, if that were me, I would have said, "Fuck y'all. You don't deserve this CC. I spent my I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, and to have y'all treat me like that, I would have crashed out, honestly." But yeah, just like some of the instances where, like, in just different areas of the community where some of y'all are just so fucking unhinged and so fucking disrespectful, it's like, how do you guys think that this is normal to go in and just harass other people like this in this way? And it just makes me upset because I love this game. I love how creative people are in this game. But the fact that people are just so blind to the fact that EA is just taking advantage of y'all. It's like, do y'all need some prescription glasses? Because the problem is as clear as day and y'all are just not seeing it. Y'all can't tell me that The Sims 4 is worth all this money. Like, I was all looking on Reddit to see what The Sims 4 cost with all of, the base game and with all of the packs. This one that I found was like from a year ago. This one includes a spreadsheet. I will link the spreadsheet in the description below. This was from a year ago, and I got The Sims 4 when I was on sale, so it was like $5, I think. Um, and this spreadsheet, it was listed as around $60. So I don't know what if the base game Sims 4 was $60 when it first came out. And I don't know if these are Canadian prices. They didn't specify whether or not these are Canadian prices, because another one that I found was in Canadian dollars. But looking at the spreadsheet, right, and looking at all the DLC and expansion packs that The Sims 4 has compared to the other Sims games, it's just astonishing. And totaling up all of the prices for each of the kits in the expanded expansion packs, minusing all the special editions of the base game, it comes out to be around $1,290, pretty much close to $1,300, and that's with all of the kits. I mean, at least at that point of time where it was taken, it was because it was like this person did it. This was from like a year ago. This was like around 1,300. So yeah, that's like a lot of money, even without all the kits, because the kits are optional. I feel like that will be fine if they were paid. But going to like another one that I found on Reddit where this person added up all of the expansion get packs and the game packs and the stuff packs and the base game and everything. Now this was in Canadian dollars, and in Canadian dollars, it was close to $2,000. It was the exact price was at $1,929.10. Now that's still close to $2,000 for everything, and this was only 4 months ago. So this could already be outdated because I don't know if there were any like new stuff released. But that's still so fucking expensive. Like you guys cannot tell me that The Sims 4 is worth $2,000. Like, if you're getting something for $2,000, you expect professional type quality. You expect like a high amount quality, no hiccups, no bugs within the product you're buying, and that's just to get the full experience. With all of this stuff, like if you add this up, within The Sims 4, it's not good quality. Like some of these bugs have been in for years, and some bugs like there's just so many bugs within the game. Some bugs have been in there for years, and some of the expansion packs, they're not being quality tested. They're not being tested. There wasn't a lot of people on the quality assurance team to making sure that these were up to par. And I just don't understand how people think that The Sims 4 is worth all of this money. You know how much money how much things you can get with like $200? And if you're a college student, that can go towards tuition, $2,000. You can get groceries with those. You can get clothes with those. You can pay up your bills with that. You can pay rent possibly. Like, come on, you can't be spending so much money just to get the full experience for a game. All right, there are so many games on the market that only have the base game, right? And it's a complete game, right? You can get so many hours out of that game. I'm talking Stardew Valley, Slime Rancher, um, Hollow Knight. Some of those games have DLC, but you don't necessarily have to have the DLC to have so many hours to have so much fun with the game to for it to be like a full experience. Those are just additions. With The Sims 4, you have to be buying so many packs in order to like flesh out your game. Like, I'm sure people have been saying this to death already. Like like that season should be in the base game, And I agree, like season should be in the base game. City living should be in the base game. Cats and dogs should be in the base game. Get to work, get together, eagle lifestyle, story estate, cottage living, high school years, growing together, some love struck. They shouldn't be separate. They should be in the base game. Some of the packs that have like the occult stuff, or some packs that just have furniture, yes, I would say put them in separate, DLCs, right? But I don't think having all the occult stuff um should be worth $20, or at least at the price point that they are at right now, right? Because some of these packs, they add very little to the game. They add very little to the game, and they're still priced the same as some of these other packs. Like, they're not even worth the price point that they're at. So I just don't understand how some of y'all think that this is acceptable to be paying all this money for something that's just subpar. Like, you can't tell me that with all this combined, this is good quality. And with all these packs, they're like breaking the game. It's not being tested to make sure that it's polished. They're just being, you know, shoved into the game. They're just being rushed into the game. And I know that a lot of these people are saying defend these developers, stuff like that. But like with Malcolm said in their video, like some of the people that are on the Sims team, they're making a lot of money, and they're probably not even saving away at the computer, worrying about deadlines, um, coding in all of these algorithms and systems, hunched over in shrimp position. Like those people who are slaving away making the code, they need your support. They need to be, and those people that are in charge of this whole operation, you know, you need to demand that they do better, that they give the people who are actually coding, that are actually sitting at the computer, more time to like flesh out and to like polish these systems, because I don't understand how you guys could just sit there and just make up so many excuses as to why the game should be in this state. Like, there should be no excuses. You're paying for the complete experience, you're paying close to $2,000 for this, in Canadian dollars, or at least around that, because the Canadian dollar one, that was like 4 months ago, so that was like fairly recent. So I don't know how much of a difference it is between Canadian and US dollars, but I'm going to, for the sake of this, I'm going to assume that they're around the same price range. Yeah, it's like you can't. I don't understand how y'all can just justify spending all this money. No game should be worth that amount of money in general. And if a game is worth that amount of money, it shouldn't be having all of these problems. It shouldn't be having all of these bugs. It should be polished. It should be optimized. It should be smooth and pretty like butter. But The Sims 4 ain't that. And the Sims community is to blame for it. You guys are just accepting the fact that you're getting exploited, and you're just harassing everybody else who's having a different opinion of you than you, and you're harassing people. And it's not like we're not critiquing it because we hate the game. We're critiquing it because we want the game to get better, and because you vocal minority is like ruining everything for everybody else, especially those who have more influence, who have more power, like the Sims 4 partners who have more power and can like influence and spread rumors and like harass other people, and they have more voice, they have more influence, and they're just, promoting this toxic positivity and just promoting these toxic behaviors. It just ruins the Sims 4 community for me. Like, I have so much love for this game, but the fact that y'all can't, sit back, stop and think for a moment and just listen to what other people are telling you about the problems within the game, like, y'all, it's not, you shouldn't have to be harassing other people for this. Like, I understand that The Sims 4 is like important to you. Like I said in my previous video with, the Winx, with the Winx community, how some people are just going after people who are having a different opinions about the reboot. Like, I understand like how much The Sims 4 means to y'all. Like, The Sims 4 and The Sims franchise means so much to me too. But that doesn't mean you have to, go out and harass other people, because like you, we love the game too. We just wanted it to improve. And yeah, that's just pretty much my issues with the community at the moment. It's just disheartening to see that people are just, going after other people simply because they have a different opinion. Like, you guys can't just be complacent and allowing The Sims 4, like the leadership at The Sims 4 and EA, to keep taking advantage of you. And for me personally, I've learned my lesson with the My Sims Cozy bundle. I'm not going to buy any new thing that EA or The Sims 4 development team puts out, simply because I can't trust that they can deliver a good product that's like completely ironed out. So I'll just continue to play my Sims games, and my Sims games, like the old Sims games on old Nintendo consoles like my Wii or the DS. And speaking of Nintendo, let's talk about them, shall we? Just like with how just like in the section where I talked about The Sims 4 and the EA, I'm going to give a little history of me and my relationship with Nintendo and their consoles. I know, like, a lot of people, I don't know how much people, but at least for me, I've been seeing online where people's first Nintendo consoles was like the Game Boy or the GameCube. And their first Nintendo games was like Ocarina of Time or Mario or something like that. But I didn't get my first Nintendo console until, I think my first Nintendo console wasn't the GameCube, it wasn't the Game Boy, it was the DS, and I got it for Christmas. And it wasn't the original DS, it was the DS Lite. And for the longest time, I thought the DS Lite was the first iteration of the DS. It wasn't until recently when I was looking for whether or not to get a DS or to get a 3DS that I realized that the DS version that I had was the DS Lite, simply because of the way it's designed. My mom got me, like my parents got me the red DS Lite, and I was so happy when I realized that I got it. And my first Nintendo game was the Disney Fairies, was the Tinkerbell DS game from the Disney Fairies franchise. And it was the best gift I could have ever gotten. I had so much fun with that game. And with the DS in the games following that, I got another DS game. My second DS game was a game called 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀, and then my third one was a Barbie game. It was 𝗟𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀 Like, I still have that game. It was like the only cartridge that I managed to um save, because I lost the other ones. Like, I have like the cases for the Disney Fairies, and the and of course the Barbie Boom Glam Pups. But my 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀 case, that's gone. It's probably with my sister. Um, and I had a Tangled one. That was like my last DS game that I ever got. It was like the Disney Tangled one. Because I had the box for it, and then I lost it, and I don't know where I got it. Lost it, but it's probably with my sister. Um, and then yeah, that was like all the games that I got. I didn't have Nintendogs. I didn't have Animal Crossing. I didn't have Ocarina of Time or anything like that. I never had any like first party Nintendo games. Those 4 games that I got, those just carried me until my DS broke. The screen wasn't working, and my dumbass child self kept banging on the screen to get it to work, and I ended up damaging the screen. So rest in peace, my red DS Lite. You will be missed. You are missed. My stupid child ass broke it because I got frustrated. But yeah, that's my experience with like the DS anyway. And then I never had a Wii until fairly recently, because as I mentioned in the previous section, I got my Wii for my stepbrother. But while I was growing up, before I met my step family, I would play the Wii when I would visit my uncle and my cousins when we moved to New York, and we would play Wii Sports. It was my favorite Wii game, Wii Sports. I would play it for hours on end. I love the bowling and the tennis. It was just amazing. And yeah, like along those lines, things just got blurry. I still, along the way, I ended up finding out about Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, and I was like one of the first ones to download like the first version. When it came out, like I was like the one that just got, when it first came out, like before all the microtransactions and before like the membership bullcrap and the cookies. It was, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp base game is when I got it, and I played the heck out of it. And like over time, I would see people like play Nintendo games like on YouTube, and it wasn't until like Breath of the Wild where I decided that I wanted to like get a Switch. Breath of the Wild was like my first entry to like the Zelda series. So once I found out about that, and then also Animal Crossing New Horizons, I got my Switch during the dumpster fire that was 2020, and I played those games, and I had a really fun time with it. But of course, along those ways, I would hear news about fan projects getting shut down by Nintendo. Nintendo just being generally being an ass. And when news of the Switch 2 came out and have all this confusion and all this controversy, I've realized that Nintendo, the way that Nintendo is conducting business is just a huge problem. And even now, so especially considering the shift between, the old consoles and the new consoles, and you know, with Iwata and then Reggie, you know, they, I feel like a lot of people say this, that they were people who really cared about the customers in their company. Comparing the old commercials of like the DS and then the Wii, and announcing their games, you can tell that there's a lot of like passion and character and soul put into the making of these products and of these devices. Because these old commercials, they kind of remind me of like the quirkiness of Minecraft's old commercials, back in the day, of if it's old updates and it's advertising. Comparing like the old commercials of like Nintendo's old commercials, and then comparing it to now, especially with like the Switch and now the Switch 2, you can see that there's no character left anywhere for these devices. With the 3DS, it had all these music, it had all these themes, it had all these games, right? And all these games had character. With the Nintendo Switch, everything is just plain. There's no music, there's no themes. It's the themes that they have default on the Switch. It's just shades. It's just light mode, dark mode, and then a gray mode. there's no themes, there's no music. Even within the Nintendo eShop, there's no music. With the pricing of the Switch, like, it was expensive. But the 3DS, it was originally like 200 something before they dropped it down to like 100 something. So they were even willing to lower the price of a console back then in order to compensate and make it affordable. And they even gave rewards to those who bought it at full price when it first released. I think they were called ambassadors. So Iwata and Reggie, like, they truly cared about their customers. And now with these new people at Nintendo, and they're just greedy, and they're just pushing out these greedy business practices. It just makes me frustrated that what made the DS, the Wii so popular, um and what made it so charming is being like all that character is being scrubbed away. And with the Sims, not the Sims, um, with the release of the Switch 2 and all of its controversy, like, a lot of Nintendo YouTubers that I watch that would review some of these games and give out some like opinions, they truly showed where their priorities lie when the Switch 2 was announced. Um, and I will link some videos in the description below. And I first saw this video by 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝗀𝘀, where she's ranting about like these Nintendo influencers, being two-faced and being hypocrites. Um, uh, and I'll also link some other videos about talking about some of these other creators, where they're just dismissing, um just like being like total hypocrites and not really understanding like the backlash that the Nintendo Switch 2 is getting. Like, some of these creators, like Arlo, um I saw a video where this person was exposing Arlo for the complete 180 he did, and then bashing another creator, another small YouTuber on YouTube, for critiquing the playability of a Pikmin game that's on like the Switch too. And that like shocked me. And then there was another creator by 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗸𝘀, where he also did a 180 when the Switch 2 released. And I'll link these videos down in the description below. But yeah, it's just disheartening to see these creators just continuing to enable the greedy practices that Nintendo is, pushing out. Like, I had trust in these creators that they would, that they would be truthful in their opinions, and they would follow through with what they were saying. And for them to just, backtrack on that, and then to also just ignore, and to ignore the criticism, and to like disregard some of the opinions that are being thrown at their way, it's just completely annoying. And then when other people are criticizing the Switch 2, and then you have like these Nintendo sympathizers ganging up on them, similar to how the Sims 4 community is right now, it's just completely annoying. Like, I've ended up seeing two other videos by people, like one video by another creator by 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝘀, pretty much saying that, pretty much voicing the problems within Nintendo, is pretty much saying that we need to boycott it, which I honestly agree. And then this one by the background NBC, pretty much voicing her concerns and her disappointment within the company, because like me, she was somebody who grew up on Nintendo and was playing their games and was interacting with the community. And yeah, I will link all these videos that I mentioned in the description below. But all of these videos pretty much, pretty much vocalize the frustrations that I've been having with the community. And honestly, it wasn't until 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝘀 released the video that I was informed that these influencers were doing a complete 180. Like, I trusted that these influencers would be honest, and to have them just switch up and enable this behavior from Nintendo. It's like, how can I trust y'all? How can I trust that y'all are being truthful and that you're going to do what you preach? Because Nintendo isn't looking at the criticism, they're looking at the dollar signs. If the money is just gonna continue to roll in, they're just gonna continue to do what they're doing. And then on top of that, you have Nintendo being so strict with their IP that they're sending people to jail, that they're taking down entire ROM sites. And it's just, I could go on and on about video preservation, like game preservation and stuff like that. But Nintendo isn't actively doing what it needs to do in order to preserve their own games. Like, with the Nintendo Switch Online, right? Like the Plus version or whatever it's called, Brain Don't Work, it's still sick. Um like, there's not a lot of, games, retro games, using that service. Even now, like, you're paying all this money and you only get a handful of games, yet there's all of these emulators going around, and you might as well just get a game secondhand, done the game, and just play it on your PC, or you get like a portable console that pretty much has like Windows or Linux on it, and just emulate it from there. And Nintendo just going after emulation, because emulation itself isn't illegal, but yet they're going after these emulation programs, and they're not doing what they need to do to like bring some of these old games onto their service. Like, they could just do like what Steam does, like have like a library where you can purchase these ROMs from them and download it onto your system. Like, it won't solve the physical media problem that's going on right now, but at least it's something to where you can at least still have access to these games. And the fact that Nintendo is just, going after these people, right? And they're going after Pal World, right? They're going after companies that um you know, look like or behave like have functions that's similar to their games, even though some of their games they've like took inspiration from other games, and there are some games that pretty much do what have similar game mechanics that they've been doing for years, and yet they're not going after them, and they're just doing all these shady business practices to try and like harass the creators of Power World. It's just I just have no energy. It's just a whole lot of bullshit with the way that um the people in this community are behaving. Like, I'm really glad that unlike the Sims 4 community, there's like a whole lot of people within the Nintendo space that are covering the controversies within the Switch too, and they're speaking out against Nintendo a lot more than what I've seen in the Sims community nowadays, at least on YouTube. But I mean, it's a hot topic right now. But there's a lot of people on the consensus that Nintendo needs to be boycotted. It needs to be stopped. Like, I'm going to like rant a little bit about at least with the way that Nintendo has been handling some of its games, right? Because I've had this issue starting off with like Animal Crossing, right? Because with Animal Crossing New Horizons, when they announced that the islands that will be created isn't going to be per user but be per console, like everybody was upset about that. Like, are you sure you don't have enough space on the cartridge or on the console to separate it between two users? Like, if a family has if you have like a family, like a Switch for like a family, right? And both your children are interested in Animal Crossing, but they have to get stuck sharing the same island, and they're fighting over what they want to put on the island. Like, that kind of defeats the purpose of having a family Switch. Like, if you want to calm them down, you have to pay for another Switch. It just seems like another tactic by Nintendo for you to spend more money. And then another thing is with Tears of the Kingdom and its lore, and the new game like Age of Imprisonment, right? Like, the way that a story and like its option, like its additional features has been handled, right? The story is shit, right? The gameplay is fantastic, right? Fantastic gameplay, but the story is shit. Some of the criticisms within Breath of the Wild is that they give you too much freedom and the story isn't very linear, and they didn't exactly improve that with Tears of the Kingdom, right? They could have, some of the lore bits. You're gonna get like to see like glimpses of the past, like more lore regarding like Zelda in the past within Age of Imprisonment. If they're not going to pull like some time travel shenanigans like they did with Age of Calamity, where canonicity is gonna come into question, like like they could have put some of if we're going to see more moments of Zelda within Ancient Hyrule, they could have put that in the base game. They could have like separated into like linear sections, like where Link goes up, sees the dragon tear, touches it, and you get to play as Zelda for a segment. Like, that could have added so much lore. What the fuck you mean I have to pay close to $100 again just to see lore from a game that's pretty much Age of Calamity reskinned, which Age of Calamity is just reskinned Hyrule Warriors. Like, they're not doing anything special with Age of Calamity with Age of Imprisonment. It's just Hyrule Warriors but repainted, and you still have to pay like $80 or $100 for it. I don't know how expensive that game is gonna be, but it's not gonna be cheap. Like, and if I want more lore, I have to pay more money for stuff that should have been in the previous game, and they probably didn't have to put much effort into it. Like, that's bullshit. That's like absolute bullshit. And then the other thing too is like with the upgrade packs, like if I want to use the new features like Zelda Notes or like the map within the Nintendo Switch Online app, like the Nintendo Online app. Like I have to upgrade. I have to pay money to get the Tears of the King, the Switch 2 edition for Tears of the Kingdom, for additional lore and a map. Like for the map part, right? For the map part, there are two apps. There are two apps on the App Store, right? That you can buy, that you can not buy, but you can download for free. That pretty much gives you a map of the Hyrule and all these things that you can check off if you've been to them already. I believe. I mean, like I don't know if you can check them off, but I know that it shows you where all the shrines are, where all like the important landmarks are for both games. It's free for Nintendo, right? If you want to get a map or a real-time map, you have to pay for it. When it's been free for years now, and if you want additional lore, oh, you have to pay for it. It can't just be in the base game. You can't just be explained to the base game like a couple of sentences that's in the Zelda Notes app. It's not in a notebook somewhere, like an in-game notebook that you can read. Like you can flip through in the game. Like it's not in. I have to pay money for that. When it should have been in the base game. Like you see what I'm talking about? Like sometimes within the way that they make their games, they structure it in a way where if you want more out of, like if you want stuff that should have been in the base game, you have to pay for it. It's just ridiculous. It's just completely ridiculous. Like I'm losing energy because I've just been talking for well over an hour now and I'm losing energy, but like y'all just see the problems that I'm having with within um with this company, with Nintendo. Like the fact that they're just doing stuff that is just anti-consumer and they just want to squeeze the money out of you. And you just want to like, and sometimes they just use nostalgia in order to like reel you in, right? Like if for like Mario Kart World, right? It's not worth $80. It's just stuff that other games have done for years now, and for cheap. It has stuff in it that other games have been doing for years, and for cheap. And it's nothing special. It's just another racing game. It's not worth the $80. You don't necessarily have to buy all the latest, all the new hot things from Nintendo, right? Because some of the older games that they pulled out, they're better and they're worth their money. They're more worth your money than these new games. And they had so much character, they had so much personality. Heck, the 3DS, right, had a freaking Street Pass, and all these games within Street Pass. I'm having more fun with Street Pass playing my 3DS than I am playing the actual games that I have on my 3DS. Because because especially with NetPass, right, being able to Street Pass over the internet. Every time I open up my 3DS, that's the first thing I do. I go on NetPass and I try to Street Pass with people, and then I go on Street Pass and I'm playing all these games on the Street Pass. So yeah, it's just the old Nintendo consoles. They're more worth their money because they have so much features packed into them. They have so much character packed into them. But the Switch and the Switch 2, they don't have no character. They're overpriced. They don't have a lot of character within them. Their games are overpriced too. It's just I just can't understand why some people are like defending Nintendo. There's no reason to defend Nintendo. They're not like some indie company. They're a mega corporation. They have billions of dollars. They have the resources to build and bring a better service, but they're refusing not to. They're more worried about their shareholders than their customers. And it's just annoying. It's just really annoying. So, just final thoughts on the whole thing. Like with these two companies, EA, Nintendo, like within these communities, like the Sims 4, the team behind the Sims 4, and Nintendo, like I said, you don't need to be buying all of these hot new things to for Nintendo, for EA. Like their older titles, especially on the older consoles, they'll suffice just fine. You don't need the hottest, latest tech. Like the reason why a lot of people like all these retro games is not just for the nostalgia, but because of how much content they have within them. You know, all these retro consoles and these retro games, especially compared to games nowadays where you need to be paying so much money and giving up an arm and a leg just to have a complete game or just to have a good experience, you know, it's just ridiculous. If you're so worried about some of these developers, the people that are actually at the computer shrimp position coding away these systems and not just the people at the top who are barely fucking doing nothing, like you can what I mean developers, that's what I mean by those people. The people actually working at the computer and actually coding. If you're so worried about them, losing their positions, encourage them to set up spaces where people can donate to them, right? You don't, and it's just I don't understand why people are just so afraid to like stand up and speak out. Do I need to remind y'all of like certain of like different protests that happened within the past that got results, during the 1920s where women were protesting to allow for them to be allowed to vote, and women were protesting and they demanded that they be treated as equals, and that got passed. I'm going to bring up, the Montgomery bus boycott, during the civil rights movement where people were boycotting the buses, like people were boycotting the buses, and because people weren't taking the buses, like they were losing money, and it took like around a year for things to get done, but people were persistent. They kept at it for a year. The bus transportation, they were losing money. They were forced to have to comply with their demands simply because they weren't making any money. Sure, like like a lot of other factors too within that, but people weren't afraid to like protest. And yeah, like some people that within the buses, like sure, like their pay probably got cut and they were probably struggling to feed their families. But, that's kind of just a fact of life that we kind of have to accept because, blame the people that are at the top that are running the show, for not, handling things correctly as they should, for pushing them to this point to have to, like, protest, If you're really that worried, like I said earlier, you can encourage them to set up donations, for the people that are actually working at the computer and coding, not the people who are making, like, about $100K a year, making boatloads of money, but like these people, like if we want companies to listen to us, we might have to affect their ability to make money, hit them where it hurts, their wallets, their ability to make money. If they're not, listening to us, if they're not, answering and listening to our criticisms and our demands, like, it's okay to boycott something and, have like a community boycott where where we just boycott their latest tech and just get them to listen to us through affecting their revenue streams. Like people from the there's like another game. I'm blanking so hard because sick and just low energy. But there's like a game where like they put out an update and it broke a lot of stuff, and there's like a whole bunch of issues within that game, and like the community was like, we're not gonna stand for this. We're gonna stand on business. We're gonna boycott this until you listen to our demands, and that's what they did. And I don't understand why we can't do the same for Nintendo and for The Sims 4. Like why can't we just boycott? Where's the spark? Why aren't we, persistent in getting these companies to demanding these companies to listen to us? I just don't understand why people are so afraid to just, take a stand and speak out. Why are people just so complacent with letting these big corporations take advantage of us? Because if we're not speaking out, if we're not telling these corporations, either through our wallets or through, you know, attention through like word of mouth, if we're not like telling these companies that we're just satisfied with the way that they're handling things, and we're just allowing it to, if we're just going to be content with it, they're just going to keep doing it until it becomes a point where it's too late and it becomes just a shit show. Because in certain countries, like, people have to work for months on end to pay for some of these games that are US dollars worth, that they have to work so hard to get. And I know, like, some of these video games, like, they're a luxury, right? We don't have to buy video games, but it's a form of escapism. And also too, video games can be can be an art form. You can tell beautiful stories through video games. And because of that, I feel like everybody should be able to have access to video games. And to have these high cost barriers that are preventing some people who are in certain countries where, you know, the economy is different and it's not as easy to just pay for stuff as it is over here. Like, it just breaks my heart thinking that some of these companies aren't considerate and they aren't adjusting their prices to match the markets over in some of these countries. And I feel like that as a community, we shouldn't just be complacent and allowing these companies to continue to exploit us. I feel like we as a community, we need to get up. We need to take a stand. We need to demand better services, demand better games. We should demand better access to these games and demand that, you know, companies aren't bullying smaller companies or other creators, simply because we love our games. Like, Nintendo shouldn't be harassing shouldn't be taking down fan projects, shouldn't be giving out such harsh punishments for people who are simply trying to preserve their games. Like, EA shouldn't be, and especially the team at Sims 4 shouldn't be um, uh, continuing to allow these greedy business practices to continue, and allowing the Sims community to harass each other too. It's just like, if you all watch the videos that I linked below, you pretty much understand that my frustration, because a lot of my frustrations are also echoed through the videos that I'm gonna link below, because my brain is just bleh, because just a lot of my mind and I'm sick and can't, low energy. But yeah, that's pretty much all of my issues that I can manage to voice out at the moment with these two companies. Um, for the time being, for Nintendo, I'm not going to buy any first party things from them until things within the company change. If I'm still going to play on my Switch because I put so much money into it. I of course am not going to buy the Switch 2. I am not. It's too expensive. And plus, the Switch 2 is pretty much a combination of everything that's wrong with Nintendo, with its business practices and its lack of innovation, and the fact that it's just charging you money for stuff that it shouldn't even be charging you for. Like, charging you money for a tech demo is like bullshit. But if I'm going to continue. I'm just going to buy indie titles on the eShop, stuff that's not first party. And I'll just continue to buy older Nintendo titles, because as you all, because if you guys have been following my streams on Twitch, you know that I recently got a 3DS, and I've been having so much fun. Like, I mentioned my 3DS earlier, but I've just been having so much fun with the 3DS that I've got. I'll make another video of me, customizing it and detailing my journey of how I got my DS. And I'm going to make it my mission to like buy some of the older Nintendo consoles and Nintendo games and just preserve them, have physical copies. And yeah, speaking of my journey of collecting these physical copies of these older games, because I managed to get Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon from a GameStop that's in a town close to this to me, and I have my sight set on Pokemon Sun because there was a Pokemon Sun then, and I told them to like hold it for me, quote unquote, because they can't technically hold it, but I was like, hold it for me, quote unquote. So I'll see if it's there the next time I have a chance to get over there. But if any of you want to help me fund this collecting that I want to collect these old titles and just have physical cartridges of them, I've started a shop. I have Buy Me a Coffee. I've decided to start making custom bracelets and custom charms. Charms that you can put on your phone or charms that you can put on your DS, or 3DS, um, or anywhere else. These charms will only have the lobster claw. They won't have the special editions that you would have to use. You'll have to buy them separately because I'm poor. I have no money to buy those things at the moment. But if you're interested in a custom bracelet or a custom charm, I will link my Buy Me a Coffee in the description below. Or if you just want to support, and it'll also help me pay for stuff because with the state of the economy in the U.S. right now, everything is expensive. And I thought if I was gonna make extra money, I might as well just do it like make extra money while I'm doing something that I love. So yeah, if you want custom stuff, buy me a coffee, or if you just want to support, you can just donate, but you don't have to. None of it's required. You don't have to donate if you don't want to, but it's very much appreciated. But yeah, um, anyways, I'm going to see you guys in the next video where I'm probably be decorating and messing around with my DS, my 3DS. So yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep because I have no energy left. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Please be nice to each other. Bye, everybody.